Oh boy.
Put the cigarette back in his mouth.
Oh, sorry. Yes, yes.
There you go. Okay, by now I'm sure you've realized that's not filmmaker George A. Romero. That is in fact a Muppet-esque version of him that he received as a gift not too long ago. When I arrived at George's apartment to film his final interview for my documentary on the making of Survival of the Dead, well, I knew right away that sucker was going on camera one way or the other. But we'll get back to him later. My name is Michael Felsher. I am a filmmaker from Detroit, Michigan. That's me right there. And I have been fortunate to be a sort of fly on the wall for George Romero's last two motion pictures, which were both filmed in Canada, specifically Toronto, which is where George has called home for the last several years. In late 2006, I witnessed the creation of Diary of the Dead, which marked the 5th entry in George's unofficial series of zombie films that began with the immortal Night of the Living Dead over 4 decades ago. Then, in 2008, I was thrilled to return to Toronto to document the next entry in this ongoing undead saga, which at the time didn't even have a working title. This new film was a sprawling, epic, twisted, and at times almost impossibly ambitious endeavor that proved to be challenging in more ways than one. I also got to tear a guy in half. But we'll get to that later, too. All right, then, there's the real deal. Let me just say this. I have been a very fortunate man to bear repeated witness to the creative process of one of the most influential independent filmmakers of our time. And as you are about to see, when you are on the set of a George A. Romero movie, anything can happen. Here we go.
And they're off.
So we have checked into our hotel, and now it's on to Port Dover. First day shooting. I haven't seen George in a while, so it's going to be really cool to see him again. And everybody else. Got an interesting mix of people that worked on Diary plus some new faces, so it's going to be quite cool. Either that or a huge fucking disaster. Cut! Checking!
Signore!
How you doing?
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Red sweater, that's different.
I took a character from Diary of the Dead, who was in Diary of the Dead for about 30 seconds, and took him on his own adventure. And in trying to escape the apocalypse, they go to a little island. They think that it's going to be safer out there where it's controllable. And of course, it's not.
And through that, we become involved with these people, and you never really know who's the good guys, the bad guys, who the villains are. But at the end, you know, we're just trying to help out humanity a bit and keep everybody safe from, you know, getting their brains chewed out.
It's a territorial story between two warring families and over a piece of rock that's an island. And this one, more than any other, I think, is more about the humans than it is about the zombies, the stenches, the deadheads, and is interesting in that it touches, you know, commentaries about family and whether or not you can go home.
Patrick O'Flynn, as far as I can gather, was born and raised on an island somewhere off the coast of Delaware. He's been on this island, okay, that he shares with this other family called the Muldoons. He and Muldoon have had this feud going on for a long time, and it has to do with a certain way they deal with the dead and the undead.
I want to, you know, keep him around and see if there's a cure for the zombieism. Whereas my counterpart, Patrick O'Flynn, wants to kill them all. I would say I'm a nut bar would be pretty accurate on a certain level.
Patrick resents very much Muldoon's antics, and the two of them finally confront each other, you know, as Muldoon has kicked Patrick off the island, and he returns with this gang, and they join him and fight against the Muldoons, and there's a great clash.
There's a lot of sort of feuding parties in this script, and it's a bit unclear who's good and who's bad. You know, it's not black and white, good guys versus bad guys, which I think is great, and you know, kind of which fits with George's, I guess, MO. The zombies aren't really the bad guys.
It's funny, when we first published the script and put it out to all the department heads, you know, the wardrobe designer, the set designer, we asked everybody, who do you like? Which guy do you think is right? Or who do you side with? And it was pretty much a split decision.
Really, that's surprising to me that that would be that close.
Yeah, it's just like in politics, or you know, a big argument comes up, and you feel a certain way, and you feel, well, this guy is right, and I like this guy's perspective, and then you talk to somebody, your neighbor, who says, no, the other guy's right, and people feel this vehemently. I mean, they passionately. And maybe that's part of the problem, right? I mean, how do you resolve these differences unless you can really debate it? But people don't seem willing enough to debate it. They just want to, here's where I stand, and this is it.
So here we are getting ready to do some more special effects work here, and I'm standing here with Mark Ahi, who is doing the special effects work for this film and has of course worked with George before on Diary. How would you say that the differences are between working on that show and this one?
This show is definitely a lot bigger, a lot more action, which is nice to see from my point of view. Bit of a different story, which is kind of nice to see. You know, George is always up for changing it around and making it good for the audience. So tonight we're doing a scene where our character Crockett is trying to open up this shed so the zombies, distract the zombies from them to go attack the bad guys, so to speak, for the scene. So just a lot of gunfire and a lot of zombies being shot, and yeah, he's going back old school on this one for sure.
Did you want a description of what I'm doing here?
Absolutely.
Well, the fisherman's on top of the shed, and he casts out into the water, and he hooks a zombie, and I come crawling up the back from behind, and we sort of get into a tumble, and I fall into the water with him.
Looking forward to dying?
Yeah, always. that's what I'm here to do.
Cool, man.
Yeah, story of my life. Yeah.
So what's it like working on with George? I mean, what's he like?
He's fantastic. Yeah, and you know, it's more, you know, let's face it, we all get older, but George seems to be getting younger on this one.
I don't know how he does it either. I don't get that.
I know. He walked in, he's all tanned and spry and cracking jokes, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it, George. I'm turning 36 and you got more energy than I do.
Probably the most benevolent, friendly director I've ever worked with. And as a result of that, we've become really good friends over the years.
He's quite intelligent. He's definitely a New Yorker, and he's funny, and you know, he makes smoking look really good.
And action!
Well, boys, they get to heaven a few seconds before the devil knows you're dead. Thanks.
What I like is that he gives you the confidence of knowing that if you do one take right, it's enough. And to me, that's fantastic, because the more takes I get from a director, the more nervous I get. Because I think I did something wrong. What does he want me to do? And George is quite happy to go, all right, let's do that. Do it. He says, fantastic. Do you need to do that again? No, I don't think so either. I thought it was great. And when you hear that, you're ready to do the next scene. Bring it on.
Because the thing about it is George Romero invented the modern horror film. Like if you're looking at sort of important horror movie, you start with The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, you have James Whale's Frankenstein, you've got sort of stuff that's fun but not really important up until 1968, and it's Night of the Living Dead, and we're in Pittsburgh and they're eating intestines. And without that, there can be no horror films after.
Let me see, the godfather of the modern horror film, and I'm getting to work with him. It's horrible. I hated every second of it. The man's the tyrant. He's tireless. He's you know, I'm kidding. He's a blast to work with, and he laughs more than I do, and that's a good thing.
He has all different kinds of aspects to his personality and to his style as a filmmaker. All of the zombie pictures that he's made are very George, and I suspect that's why the fans still respond to them, you know, years after they've been released. This is a very George movie because it has a kind of energy. He's sort of returning to the idea of really having fun.
So things are progressing extremely well here, I think. Getting ready to blow up the shack here. Going to blow a big hole in that, and got some other zombie action, other stuff coming up here. But you know, had a little weather delay, as expected. Some rain came in. Fortunately, it seems a little bit dry right now, but that's why I'm wearing the poncho here, which is actually kind of funny because 2 years ago on Diary of the Dead, second day of shooting, we had rain, and I wasn't exactly prepared for that.
It's a bit wet tonight. It's actually a little bit rainy. And by a little bit rainy, I mean all day rainy and wet.
Glad you had that clip. So anyway, we're gonna get going here and see what else is going on, but it's been an action-filled couple of days so far.
Set.
And 3, 2, 1.
Go! Bang!
Oh, I'm glad to see you took the hit too. Hello, boy. I know.
Oh no, we all had a good laugh.
So here we are. I just came across a whole bunch of zombies just lying around, and this one here in particular, I know her. I met her 2 years ago. She organizes a zombie walk in Toronto. Are you excited that you're doing this for real?
I am so excited. This is actually the thrill of a lifetime. I can't even describe it. I haven't slept for days. I've been so excited, and I'm so excited to be here.
Well, that's great because it's going to work out. You don't want to sleep, you know, have any sleep and be well rested when you do this.
I'm definitely a zombie now, so it's perfect.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it's so crazy because I wouldn't have started the walk without Romero movies, and you know, I just applied to get in, and I got in as an extra. That's crazy.
Action!
That's just gross.
Well, they took a look at the soot and the stuff on my face and said, "Oh, this will be a snap."
Yeah, well, you can kind of cover up any little, you know, still. I mean, that's. If I didn't know.
And action.
I couldn't get it much tonight.
God, it's nasty.
So I've heard tales of this fire extinguisher gag, and I really would like to know what exactly is going into the making of that.
It's kind of a lot of fun in that what happens is I think our character Francisco gets trapped by a deadhead, and so the closest thing to him is a fire extinguisher, and he grabs it off the wall, teases the zombie with the nozzle, and presses the trigger and fills the zombie's head full of
chemical foam.
Chemical foam, that's exactly it. So to get us there, it's really quite straightforward. We have a pressure vessel that's going to house the product that we're going to pump into the zombie's head. It follows a tube that takes us to a faked up fire extinguisher.
So the whole thing is in it?
There you go. There you go. And as we start to fill your mouth with water, you're going to blow it back at us. There, more water, more pressure. Keep going, keep going, keep going. There we go, there we go, there we go. Good there, save it. And what will happen next is...
So now we are on to week 2. We are now at a new location in the lovely daylight. No night shooting today. It's a wonderful day out here, and everything seems to be going as planned. We've got some more zombie shootings going on, horse riding, all sorts of stuff, so I gotta go.
Hey! Hey! And whoa! Whoa!
It's without a doubt a George Romero movie. I mean, it has all of the gore and some of the comedy that George does in his very distinct way. There are all of the sort of things you would expect from a movie of his, but also this slightly more epic, I want to say, or just a nice dramatic element to it.
Right. I think we like that.
And now that's got to go to the 3x20 outside.
Hey, Renata, just come to your second mark there. He's having his drink mark.
Barley, please.
Wait, we got to put some holes in this thing.
Hey, how are you? What do you think of the drogue? It's a blood drogue. Blood drogue. Anti-blood device.
Hey, take one.
Yeah.
Marker.
Set.
And action.
Bam!
Philippa, how are you?
Cut.
No, it was perfect.
Okay, we need a little brew. We got a little...
I'd never ridden a horse in my life. I think I'd been on a camel once at the zoo. But I wanted to be a cowboy when I was a kid. Like, the one thing I wanted to be was a cowboy. Everyone else wanted to be firemen and cops, and I was the guy who always wanted to be a cowboy.
Okay, I'm a little confused too. This doesn't exactly seem like the set of a George Romero zombie movie, you know, with the pigs and the horses and the dogs and all that. We're out here in Ancaster right now. It's about an hour south of Toronto, and we're going to be here for a few days. But I gotta admit, strange surroundings considering what we're supposed to be doing here. So I'm going to wander off confused, but we'll see what happens.
Diary of the Dead went out and made a substantial amount of money, only because it cost so little to make, but it made a lot of money. So I had to make another film quickly, and initially I said, wait a minute, give me some time to breathe. I don't know what this movie's going to be about, you know. The earlier films that I did were always sort of really related to either a specific administration in the United States or something specifically that was happening. Dawn of the Dead, it was the beginning of these indoor shopping malls, the temples to consumerism. So I landed on this idea of making it about war, because war seems to still be with us. We have not been able to defeat the idea of war. I remembered an old film called The Big Country. It's about two feuding families that are fighting over something they can't even remember. In The Big Country, it's about a tract of land. But that's not the point. The point is we hate each other, and we love hating each other. And I made all the department heads look at the old movie, The Big Country. I said we should really try to make this look and feel like an old Western.
Gunfire, guys, watch your ears.
VFX 71, 7 take 2.
Yep. Marker.
Action.
Cut. That was great.
Cut.
All right.
Whoop.
Just like. We'll find you, kid.
Our challenge mainly is finding locations that suit the Western genre that George has thrown into the horror genre here. He's sort of crashed the two together, and we love it. So the idea is to kind of find places that would work in terms of the Western look, and yet still stay true to kind of the fact that we're in a modern environment as well.
Well, when George and Peter started talking about the look of this film, they really did talk about it as a Western. And even though a lot of the action within it isn't necessarily taking place in the West, it's just the vibe of the film. And so we wanted a lot of those iconic characters. And I was very specific about having different groups of people. So we've got, you know, Crockett and his group that are in their army uniforms. It sets them apart from everybody else. We have the O'Flynns, who are fishermen, and I've given them a specific color palette of blues, grays, greens, the colors of the ocean. And then the Muldoon clan, being farmers and ranchers, I gave them earth tones going into, you know, browns and burgundies as their overall color palette. And with those guys, because they are actually ranchers who ride horses and everything, we just went full out cowboy on those guys, and it was really fun.
There are certain scenes that are perfect for a sort of slightly retro Technicolor look. There are other scenes, probably the harbor scene, which will have much more of a contemporary look to it. One of the things George did say is, let's see everything. Not to say that it's going to be a bright picture, I think it'll have a very different sort of feel to it that way. And operating with the lenses we have, which are spectacular, and the red, which is really, you know, the high resolution of the red camera, is also quite interesting to see what happens. So what you see on the monitors isn't really even close to what it'll be when they're finished. It has a big look to it, so there's a lot of big frames. Right.
I think the fans are going to like the epic nature of it, that it feels like a big, wide open Western, that you're going to, you know, see these great big wide scenes, and, you know, there's a lot of scary things happening in the day too, which of course George has done before.
It's secluded on an island. So it's a bit more safe, yet it's also a bit creepier because you don't know what's going to pop out of a bush or anything like that. It's not in civilization, really.
No cars on the island, all horseback, saddle rooms, tack rooms, cats with cowboy hats, pistols, gun belts, and all that. I mean, why not?
Gabriel! Got a safe. It got caught under the web of the glove.
It's the Hatfields and the McCoys and zombies. But there's comedy in it too. That's the great thing. If you can't scare the shit out of them, you might as well make them laugh, you know, or both at the same time in this case.
It's really kind of nice because would we regress back to that state? Would we go back to like this frontier kind of attitude where it's like my land, your land, no, I'm taking it, boom, you're dead. So it's really kind of, it's a really interesting take on where society would go when faced with such a kind of cataclysmic kind of event.
Even though it's kind of ridiculous, you would have to admit that there's this island that looks like it hasn't had this, been untouched by time for 100 years. Were you just having fun? You just had kind of a fuck it attitude? Let's just put in some wacky stuff that I've never been able to try before?
Yes. The short answer is yes. When you leave a guy alone to do what he wants to do, he does what he wants to do. And so it's whimsical. It becomes whimsical. But it does seem logical to me. And I've actually been to a couple of little islands over here near Nova Scotia and even off New England, where people still ride horses to go to the grocery store. So it made enough sense to me that I said, let's do it this way. And I love the flavor of it. And you know, hey, if you can't get past that, man, give me a break. I've tried to make each of the Dead films feel a little different, look a little different, and I think that in some ways that's disappointing to younger fans who expect and want the same thing that it was before. Disappointing to me that people want them to be the same.
We are now in week 3 of production. We're still here at Ancaster, mostly night shoots now, and as you can probably see, it's very, very cold. This is Steve Barton. You may also know him as Uncle Creepy from DreadCentral.com.
Indeed.
Soon, Mr. Barton here will be a zombie doing all sorts of zombie goodness. So we'll follow that and see how that goes. In fact, there may be someone joining him later this week.
Weird thing is, when I made Night of the Living Dead, I had no idea what the rules were. I basically ripped the idea off from I Am Legend, Matheson novel. And I said, okay, I can't use vampires because he did, so what can I use? So I said, all right, dead people are not staying dead. I thought this was a great new thing. I never thought of them as zombies. I never called them zombies. They were ghouls, flesh eaters, whatever.
George Romero right over there, he's making a zombie movie. You get a chance to be one. You don't hesitate. You don't go, can I work it in my schedule? You get on a plane, you get on a bike, you get on a carrier pigeon, whatever you gotta do. You get your ass to the set, and you hope to God that you're lucky enough to be one of the ones who feast. I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, man. It's an opportunity. When George Romero makes a zombie movie, it's history. Everyone else, they're just knockoffs, man. They're pretenders to the throne. There's somebody trying to live off of that man's coattails. He's the master. He's the one who made this. This is my dream, man. This is from when I was this big.
The idea of playing, you know, a live character and also a zombie in a George frickin' Romero movie, it's intimidating as fuck. I'm sorry. It's intimidating as hell because he is the guy who, you know, this is his genre. This is his stuff.
Boys! Boys! I love zombies. Yeah. How can you? They're so cuddly. It's great sitting in the lunch tent with the zombies while we're having lunch. That's my favorite zombie time. And the zombies smoking and, you know, and having their cake. It's all very sweet.
There's only 5 of us plus 1 hair person doing everything, and as opposed to, let's say, Land of the Dead, where they had, you know, a bunch of people doing a lot of makeups and a lot of gags and a lot of mechanical stuff, and we had 5 and that was it. So considering that, we did pretty good.
So this is me zombied up. Now we're doing the wardrobe section here.
acrylic that I've mixed.
Why do you think people keep showing up to be zombies, not just in any movies, but yours specifically? I'm thinking particularly of Steve Barton in particular. Here's a guy who was on cloud 9 on that set that night. It was 4 degrees outside. He's freezing as we're all freezing our asses off.
He's happy.
And he was happy as hell.
He's the only happy guy. Why? I don't know. I'm the wrong guy to ask this question to. I don't know why people do this. I would never do it. I would never goop myself up and show up and stand around for 10 hours in freezing cold weather.
I don't understand why anyone would do that either. Being a zombie, I mean, it's not something I ever aspired to do.
Nah, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
No.
But you know what we did learn that we could do, like on the set? We can do that shit.
Yeah, we can do it.
Because you got it.
Well, yeah.
You know what's great? The friction of the bellies hitting makes the cock swing, like a free-flying cock swing, just for a couple of seconds. You know, it's like, it's great.
The only thing holding it from...
Yeah, it's really good. Well, Marcos started operating it too.
Matt, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, Stutz is ready.
Get away from me! Fucking dirt here! God damn it!
I tease George a lot in that it's easy to write this stuff. It ain't so easy to shoot, you know. And he's got a wild imagination, as we all know. And it's some of these ideas are beautiful, but they're very challenging to shoot. Somehow we get it done, hopefully to the delight of everybody. But it's definitely, you know, you're always on your toes. It's always a challenge.
So it kind of went, you went up, he came down.
Yeah, I can come through.
I'm trying to convince him that zombies are hungry during the day too. And sometimes they're on the beach.
Oh, I didn't empty my pockets. But it will be.
We are here now almost at the end of the 3rd week of shooting. It's my 2nd day as a zombie on this film, and I'll tell you, there's nothing quite like it. I mean, we're getting ready to tear apart a human being. Just rip him to shreds. And this is like, you know, the ultimate you can be as a zombie. To be able to eat somebody. Getting shot, that's nice, walking by, whatever. Eating somebody, that's great. I mean, we're just having a great old time, so yeah, that's about it. We're just, it's really been an incredible experience. Hi.
At 5 o'clock in the morning, everything's a cock joke.
One of you go high, one go low. You're ripping the clothes, but then when you go for the skin, go for it up near where the gray is, where your left thumb is, level with that. I mean your right thumb.
My right thumb.
That area for skin.
So I have a hole in here, I'm gonna rip.
There you go.
Then once we're gonna tear until the spine's exposed.
Right.
I'm gonna grab it.
You're gonna grab the spine. You're grabbing the spine too far down the body.
Okay, the spine's up here.
There.
Okay, so I'm gonna grab the spine here once there's spine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull it.
Ready? And action. Rip the clothes, Steve. Rip them right up. Clothes right up. Back up, Mike. Back to go to your right, Mike. Good. Get in there and eat, Mike. Find the spine. Back up, Mike. And pull it higher, Steve. Get that flap of skin off. John, if you can do that. Yeah. And get it higher if you can, Steve. Good. Start pulling the legs slowly, girls. I see a spine. You see a spine?
Oh, come on. It's coming.
Hands up.
It's coming. Keep pulling, keep pulling.
Keep pulling the legs. Pull them, girls. You can stand up. Stand up if you have to. Pull. Take a bite, Steve.
Paul!
Coming, it's coming. The shirt's caught on it. The shirt is caught on it. You're video.
Ah, yeah. Get into the cart.
Cut it.
It's just...
Nice job, guys. Yours, you okay?
That looks so cool. Look at that shot right there.
Yours, you good?
Get him out of the hole. Hold on, hold. Good shot, good shot.
Now that's how you fucking beat somebody.
Yeah.
Did you see that shit?
It was the ferocity. I was hungry.
You fucking went.
Do we look like people who've gone without a meal for very long?
Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took down like 5 people back there and I grabbed myself a Diet Coke on the way back.
We didn't see him. Get him out.
Diet Coke.
I'm watching my fucking figure, dude.
Diet Coke.
I'm a
You know
zombie
what?
with a
I'm
car.
sorry. I can't be with you anymore.
What are you talking?
Diet Coke. We're eating people, for Christ's sake, man.
Michael. Mike.
Here, jump in. I'll give you a ride.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Put on your seatbelt.
Well, it's the start of another new week, and we have a new location. We're out here at 50 Points in right around East Hamilton. This week is interview week for us. I mean, we got to get as many interviews done with as many different people as we can during the course of this week, because the last few weeks, too busy. Couldn't get it all done. So you're going to be seeing in the documentary interviews that take place after this point, but probably before this point in the documentary. What I mean is, okay, we haven't done it yet, but we're good. Fuck it.
Hey, I'm keeping up with the old man.
No, not you. That's the name of the river. Pussyfoot, because it's a pussy of a river.
So much for the nice beach day.
We had a wonderful first night of shooting on this movie, and the second night, bing, rain. I mean, it was just hideous. Freezing cold. This film was plagued by we had hail, we had rain, we had snow, we had, it was unbelievable. I mean, we'd shoot for an hour and get shut down.
We've had the most insane weather I can possibly imagine. I've never seen this on one set. In one night we went from spring to autumn to winter, and today was 20 degrees outside. It's unbelievable.
We've been screwed over by Mother Nature. I don't know who had a bad past with her before, but we've been rained on at least 19 out of the 22 days or whatever it was we were outside.
So we kept losing time. The actors, the cast, and the crew, amazingly just sort of stuck with it.
In all honesty, the more remote and desolate and where it's felt almost like the belly of the beast, it's really helped, I think, the journey of the whole production, and especially for us as characters, being in that kind of situation and that kind of location has just made it, you know, the bitter cold and the wetness and the dampness has just allowed for, you know, possibly a sense of reality.
I mean, you know, we had these tents with heaters in them, and the actors would be in there playing Trivial Pursuit, and the crew guys were trying to warm their hands so that they could feel whether or not the light switch was going on or off. I mean, you completely lost the feeling in your fingers. It was hideous. It was just unbelievable conditions.
And besides the weather, I mean, just the immense amount of stuff to do.
Catch from the hand, Julia. 3, 2, 1.
Mine is a really, really packed schedule, and the moment one little thing went wrong, it just dominoed for the rest of the schedule.
This film was put together very, very quickly. There was not enough pre-production time. By the time the green light flashed, we had just a few weeks. I never felt all the way through it that we were really kicking it. You know, I never felt that we were really getting exactly what it should be because, well, first of all, making any film is a matter of compromise. You're never getting exactly what you want. In the case of this film, it was just constant, and it was mostly the weather and conditions that were keeping us from making all the shots that we want to make.
Is that your nature, though, to always be like, oh, I wish we'd gotten more, or was it more prevalent on this film, do you feel?
It is my nature to, I think, see the glass as half empty. But on this film, I was sure that we weren't getting enough. In the old days, when I was shooting my own films, and I was actually shooting them, I would just shoot coverage out the ass. I mean, I just wanted to cover everything. And I would do it, even if the light wasn't perfect. I would say, okay, fine, okay, I need a shot of the clock. There's no light on it. All right, I'll shoot it anyway. Bing, and I'd shoot it. That is a frustrating part of the medium, and I'm sure that everyone goes through this. I mean, I'm sure Scorsese goes through the same thing. I want to shoot that shot. Well, it's going to take a half an hour, that'll run us over, it's going to cost overtime, bing, bing, bing. Boy.
So here we are in our last full week of shooting. It is fucking freezing out here. And I have bumped into my good friend, Roy Frumkes, who's the original documentarian of the Dead. He filmed all the behind-the-scenes footage on Dawn of the Dead 30 years ago. How you doing, man?
Well, that was inside a mall with the heat on.
Yeah, this is a little bit more.
I can barely move my mouth. I'm very glad to be here. Wearing my Western duster.
Yes.
You know, to try to kind of fit in, be invisible on the set of
the Dead. We don't know what it's called yet still. It's weird. It is cold. I don't want to talk anymore.
Okay.
There was this location called Chalk Lake. And we said, okay, all the days that we're back, we could shoot this scene there, we could shoot this scene there. It was a very flexible location. Well, when we got to Chalk Lake, I mean, it was just nothing let up. The weather didn't let up. God was still against us.
The Chalk Lake location was insane. Like, the mud was crazy, and there was this little tiny road to get down there, and you had to transfer to 3 vehicles just to get to set because they couldn't handle the mud. And
they had to bring in this tractor with wheels the height of this ceiling just to move things around. I mean, it was just hideous.
As remote as the locations became, you know, we really familiarized ourselves with them, and I think at the end of the day, it's gonna look awesome.
That's me.
Action! Any closing thoughts on this whole experience?
Closing thoughts. I'm having the time of my life. I mean, it's some of the most fun I've had on a picture, and I'd be thrilled to come back in zombie form or in any form and do another one. It's part of film history right away, right? Yeah, it's a good thing.
People have asked me over the years, well, can a horse be a zombie? Can a rat be a zombie? If you want to trace the history of my zombies were eating things other than human. Marilyn Eastman, she picks an insect off a tree and eats it. Yes, zombies will eat something other than people. Why haven't they until now? I don't know. Animals are too swift. Zombies are too slow.
The dead horse was supplied by K&B, and we just babysat it on set. We just dressed it up, made a few more guts for it, and it was a really nice horse too. So it just nobody could actually build one in time, and the money wasn't there to build one from scratch. So they already had a horse left over from another show that wasn't used, and they fitted it a little bit for guts and shipped it up. We painted it a different color, and it just actually looked really nice.
Start to pull it up if you can. Right, get in there, CJ. Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah. Get back down, Rick. Ah! One more time down, CJ. Shake it, oh yeah! She grabs it. Cut! Falls over the back of the horse.
It's stuck in his teeth.
Thank you. Fucking gorgeous. We'll be back next week with another episode of Horse Guts.
Nice.
Dr. 290.
We are out here the docks in Toronto, just by the Westin Hotel. So we're out here to do some interiors in the ferry, then we move into the studio where it'll be nice and warm and comfortable. And but here it's actually quite picturesque, don't you think? Got all this sort of water and shit. Yeah, it's a brilliant description. I'm so glad I came up with that. That's great. Water and shit. That's great.
I'm not sure if there's more zombies in our extras count or on the crew at this point. Exactly. So yeah, it's been good. It's almost over. It'll be sad when it's done, but we'll be dry on our couches watching television. So.
That's why I'm on 40 here. Yeah, that's the way we do it.
And I ducked. He spit up, and I ducked. And he's still ducking. Look at that. Look at that. And he's laughing. Yeah. Oh no, he's having a good time. It's been crazy. It's been like a whirlwind ride. I mean, I can't believe how fast the shooting schedule is on this, and considering we did everything at night, it's absolutely amazing. The crew has been fantastic. They work tirelessly, and everybody has a smile on their face. Again, I think it starts from George. He comes in with this big smile and this big grin, and he's just got, you know, so much energy and so much life. And you look at him and you kind of sit there and say, well, if he's doing it, I mean, how can we say no?
In spite of the weather and the locations and the shooting all through the night, in spite of all those things, like, I think, honestly, I cannot remember the last time I've had this much fun on a show, and I think that's what's going to stay with me.
It will, I'm sure, stand out for the rest of my career as a unique and rare experience to work with somebody who occupies such a place in film history and who is such a joy to work with.
One of the best jobs I've ever had, I think, and I think this movie is going to be like the best one since, like, Night.
Really?
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be a really good one.
What was wrong with that one? What was wrong with that one? Is that it? What? We need to go again. Can we go again? Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Outside. The blackout that window was flapping a bit. It's okay now.
Happy Halloween.
Must have been a gust of wind.
Classic.
I mean, we can repeat it at that point.
Adam, do you want to see
So now we're on the Toronto Island Ferry, and the weather's fine, but we have to keep stopping for airplanes and Kenneth Welsh farting.
Well, you know, flatulence is always good. If you bring, you know, a good fart at the right moment can ease up a crew, you know. Things get a little tense, you know, the time is, you know, pressing, you're not getting all your shots. Everybody's gathered around and there's a silence. Just fart.
He's got the fart machine, man. And that's what keeps it all light and happy. And sometimes he doesn't even need the fart machine. Good old Ken Welsh, he's just got a whole load of tricks up that coat of his.
He brought a fart machine to set one day, which at 3 in the morning is the most hilarious thing you've ever seen.
And suddenly, you know, everything's easy again. I mean, I was just de-rigging myself. They couldn't see it. Right. I think it's going to be quite a successful film. And I'm very sad to have finished shooting it, but I look forward to seeing it now very much. I'm really excited. That's not always the case with me. In fact, rarely. I do a film and I think, I don't know if I really want to see that again. But I do want to see that because it's fun.
Cheers, darling.
Oh, yeah.
So this is it. This is the last week of filming. Actually, it's not really a week, it's 2 days. But we're in the studio. We're finally in the studio. Doesn't matter what the hell it's doing outside. It could be raining dogs and cats and Republicans out there. It does not matter. We're in the studio. And to prove it, after you.
Great. Here we go. And 3, 2, 1, boom, drop. Alice. I interviewed George on the last film in Sundance for the hour, and then I remember passing the word along saying, look, whenever you do the next one, I want to be a zombie. I want to be a zombie. And then as time went on, I sort of forgot about it, and then this project came up, and then I got a call one day saying, hey, do you want to be in a Romero film? And I thought, hell yeah, I get to be a zombie. They go, no, you be like a cheesy talk show host, like really cheesy in a basement. And I thought, hell, I do that every day. Done. All right, so that's how it kind of happened. Basically, they're watching, I think, television or on YouTube or something, and the talk show host and his sidekick, his Paul Schaefer-esque person, do zombie jokes. And I have cue cards which have nothing on them except zombie joke. So we'll just be I'll be pretending I'm reading, and we're like, hey, let me ask you, like that. So that's what's happening. Hey. I just want to, it's not in the script, but at some point I want to work in hey-oh. That's what I'm really shooting for. It's tender and leaning.
You're tired? Let's just lean on each other and try to... I'll lean this way, you lean that way.
It's actually in the crew union business guidelines.
I'm having a great time on this film. I love it. I love working with George. He's a great guy to work with. I have fun every day, even though it's been a grueling, long, exhausting shoot, and I think I'm on the verge of bronchitis. I am still having a great time. We have a great crew. We have a fantastic cast, and it's going great.
Yeah, we got to wait for that door.
It has been challenging. I wouldn't say it's an epic, but it's certainly ambitious. We do have some more money than we did on Diary, but as with Diary, it's a challenge. We've been able to get everything that was scripted. We haven't dropped any scenes or abandoned anything for fear of going over budget. But everybody's pulled together, and we're pretty much getting there.
My name is Ara Katz. I was one of the producers from Diary of the Dead, and now I'm an executive producer on the currently untitled George Romero film. We're up in Toronto right now, and shit! What is that? Can you see that? What is there? Something on my back?
Like a bite or something.
can't see it. It really hurts.
That is so good. That looks so great.
So, any closing thoughts on this experience and how you think the movie's going to be perceived by fans and what they have to look forward to?
Well, I mean, obviously, anything that we say is going to sound biased, but I really do. When I read the script, I was pleasantly surprised. I was really amazed, and I think people will be moved by it.
Here we are. It is November 4th. It's Tuesday. A couple hours away from shooting on our last night. This is it. This is the last night. And talk about an ironic moment in history. The last night in shooting, a horror movie about dead people. We finally have what looks like America kind of coming back to life. It's election night. And as of right now, Barack Obama is doing very, very well. And it looks like he may be on the road to winning this thing. Can't say anything. You may cut to me right after this saying, oh my dear God, what happened? But it's looking very, very good right now. So there's a lot of energy around here right now just waiting to see what happens. It's very interesting to be here on this night in history.
And that's a cut.
Our last day of shooting, I mean, literally the last day, we were just shooting Francisco in the pool, swimming and getting shot by the snipers. Nobody was concerned about what we were shooting. Everybody was concerned about the U.S. election. It recalled a moment because when we were shooting Land of the Dead, we had TVs and it was election night as well. So twice I've shot zombie movies when elections were happening. Once we lost and once we won. I mean, of course I was rooting for Obama, but my cynical self didn't believe that Americans would elect this guy, and they did. And so, made me feel great.
There you go.
All right, that's a wrap.
Wrap.
Thanks for your off-camera support.
We finished the principal photography on the film, and then there were a lot of scenes that we didn't complete the way I had wanted to complete them. Then I really latched onto what is this about, because when I had started it was just about war. It was about conflict, people that can't give up their old enmities, and now there was something else on the horizon here, this anger. People angry at each other and unable to speak to each other. And so I said, okay, we need a little bit of that. The producers said, okay, you can go one more day. And we shot the opening scene with the military guys and the captain.
And that's a cut.
It is June 29th, 2009, and we're back. This movie has not finished shooting, technically. We are here for an additional day of shooting. We did this on Diary of the Dead as well. We actually had a few days on that one. And after today, that's it. We're done shooting on George Romero's... We still don't have a title, okay? It's been, I don't know, how many months now? 9 months since we shot the movie? No title yet. We're still Of the Dead.
We couldn't think of a name for this movie. We could not think of a name for it. It has to be Of the Dead, right? Because that's what everybody wants, Of the Dead.
This Of the Dead stuff, you know, is a big responsibility. You can't just call it, you know, blank Of the Dead. You have to come up with a good title. We have some in our hip pocket that we kind of like. Obviously, there's nothing that we're completely in love with yet, otherwise we would have slapped it on there already.
Title's a toughie. It's been thrown back and forth probably now for a year between, you know, George and Peter, his partner, but you either go with an obvious title that's about the geography of what the place is, or you go with an obvious title that's about what the story is, but they're not compelling enough. So this takes place on an island.
Isle of the Dead came up, and I loved it because of the pun. Isle of the Dead. I love the dead. I love the dead. I liked it for that reason, and everybody said, "Get out of here."
There's already Islands of the Dead, and yeah, no.
It doesn't seem to work quite really, does it?
Well, no, it sounds sounds more like one of the Italian George Romero ripoff movies if it's Island of the Dead.
We couldn't come up with anything, so we had a million suggestions.
I've heard like Army of the Dead, Feud of the Dead,
Exile of the Dead,
Law of the Dead,
Sanctuary of the Dead, Elegy of the Dead.
How about O'Flynn of the Dead?
O'Flynn of the Dead?
No.
Duel of the Dead,
I like that one.
which I think everybody's starting to get into.
I was thinking like Abyss of the Dead or Rain of the Dead because it's been raining so much, but Rain with R-E-I-G-N.
My suggestion was Enough of the Dead. I mean, why does it have to be Of the Dead? Why can't I call it South Pacific?
It's just a thrill of a lifetime.
What have you gotten to do today?
Ate a little bit of man cheek. I pitched that to McDonald's, put that on the Sunday morning menu.
The McMahon cheek.
The McMahon cheek, yes.
We are wrapped on George Romero's and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next. It's going to screen the movie soon, I hope, and premiere it, and it's the end of a very, very long journey. So can't wait to see what the next step in this process is. So see you very, very soon, hopefully at a premiere. I hope.
Well, we were invited to Venice in competition, which is spooky. But it was the first film to be shown at the Venice Film Festival, the first horror film, fantasy film, since Jekyll and Hyde. Felt all the way up to the screening, I felt, this is not going to be received very well. The night of the screening, it was unbelievable. I mean, the reception was incredible. The audience went bats. And it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I mean, the whole audience down there, it's perfectly Italian, right? I felt like I was Nero in front of the hordes. They turned around and just applauded, and it seemed like they applauded forever.
Do you guys love George? And without any further delay, I would like to introduce you to the reason you all come here, Master Director George A. Romero!
Well, thank you for doing that, and thank you all for being willing to participate. You guys are fabulous. It's great. Thank you.
I would have stayed in Pittsburgh for the rest of my life. I was staying there because I loved the guys that I was working with. You know, Savini, Booba, Nicky, Mastandrea. I mean, the boys that, you know, we do. I couldn't conceive of making a movie without these guys on the set. And then all of a sudden, nobody was making movies in Pittsburgh anymore. And all of these people who needed to support themselves went to where people were making movies. And all of a sudden, those guys weren't around anymore. But when I came up here, I met these people who are just completely dedicated, and they're not going to leave because this is a production center. There has been, you know, there's a tremendous infrastructure here. There's been a lot of money invested in studios, and, you know, this is not going to dry up.
Thank you all. I've been here for 5 years now, and actually, prior to that, did some work here on 2 earlier films. Scored a film and then made a film called Bruiser, and then when we did Land of the Dead, I just sort of stuck around. And I love it. I found a crew of people that, you know, I'd like to work with from now on. And it's been wonderful. It's a wonderful city, and I just really love it here. So this is where I'm going to stay. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
So, you're in the movie, right?
I think I am.
Okay.
There's a rumor of that.
Well, that's good. Hope you're good.
I hope so too. Otherwise, it's going to be very sad night.
No, you're going to rock, man. It's going to be great.
Thanks, buddy.
Is the movie any good?
I think it's quite excellent.
Well, it better be.
I'm reliably informed by Michael Felsher that it's one of the finest films he's ever seen.
And he's an expert.
Is that what I said?
He's an expert in the field.
I don't remember.
Oh, come on. Yeah, them.
How you feel, man?
I'm, you know, I'm doing okay.
I actually am feeling great. The movie turned out well, I think, and I feel pretty good about it. I'm, you know, looking forward to seeing it with an English-speaking audience.
Damn right.
Rocks, man. We can rock.
Survival of the Dead, played in Venice to great acclaim. He had a fabulous time there. He's a little jet lagged, but he still wants to deliver some brew and blood to you, his fellow Torontonians. And without any further ado, it's my great privilege to reintroduce you to George A. Romero.
Thank you very much. It's great to, well, actually, this is my 4th year in Canada. It took them a little while to decide whether they wanted to let me in permanently, but eventually they did. And it's my pleasure to be here. And just thank all of you people that keep coming out for this kind of punishment.
I could do 2 more of these. with ideas that are spinning in my head right now. I don't know if I will live to make 2 more of these. I don't know, but I have 2 more of them in my head. I would much rather take a break and go make, you know, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. But at this point in my career, at my age, I mean, it's sort of the path of least resistance. I certainly don't want to go out to Hollywood and duke it out for a year in some sort of a development deal that never happens. I just don't want to do that. So I'm having a good time, and I'm you know, whatever comes. I don't know what's going to happen next. If there's another one of these, I will do it happily, gleefully.
We'll be back afterwards.
We'll see. I don't know.
Thank you all again.
And I guess the last thing I have to ask you is, what do you hope fans will enjoy about your new movie?
I hope the fans don't enjoy shit about it. They ain't supposed to enjoy this shit.
Do you have anything else to say at all?
I love you just the way you are.
We got some horse action coming in here. I don't know, how's it going? That's my double, making me look good.
He's fabulous. He's fabulous. They put him through hell on this project. Rain, snow, sleet, hail. He's fabulous. Never lost his temper once. I lost my temper 3 or 4 times. Him, fabulous. Whatever he says, he's lying. He's amazing. We love him. All right, I've done enough.
Not that they're around or anything, but what about the guys playing the other Muldoons? Are they any good?
They're a bunch of pussies, actually. Oh, guys. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. No, really. God, you're really handsome fellas.
Devin Bostic, that kid, I don't know, I've had a lot of trouble with him on set. He's got a bit of an ego. I don't know, I just, when I found out he was on set, I was a little perturbed, but anyway. Oh, Devin, I'm so sorry, man. I didn't even know you were behind me.
Do you really want me to be honest with the answers?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, really would.
Get off
Whatever
me,
he
you
said,
stink.
we love him.
Have you taken off your shirt yet?
I've taken off my shirt.
I missed you taking off your shirt.
I'm teasing you. We didn't take off.
I was wrapped hours ago, and the only reason I'm still here is because Stefano's going to take off his shirt, and he's been doing push-ups every spare second.
Yeah, I've been pressing hard.
Alan, he's #1 on the call sheet, so he's very full of himself. He thinks since he's #1, he's tough and all that jazz. I mean, he acts like a Muppet. like a puppet even. He just no emotion. I mean, when he acts, it's like I'm talking to a blank wall that wouldn't talk back to me.